Hi, welcome to Oma's Kitchen.
Oregano.
We're going to show how to slice up eggplant and bread it and fry it. This is a special request from my son's friend John, who messaged him and asked how to fry eggplant. I have two organic eggplants here. One of them's a little soft on the end, but that's okay. We'll just cut that part off. I'm gonna use a gluten-free pasta because I like it. And we're gonna make a nice homemade sauce to go with this so we can make eggplant parmesan out of it. I'm gonna use my last 3 jars of crushed home canned tomatoes, and I'm gonna cook that down for a good long while with some port wine, some Italian spices, part of an onion, and by special request of my cameraman, I'm going to use mushrooms in it as well. So it's onion mushroom marinara, breaded and fried eggplant. I've got some very nice shredded Parmesan here. We're gonna have that with some grapes on the side. Normally I would use 3 or 4 eggs to bread the eggplant with, but these are really small eggs, so I'm gonna use 5 of those. And we're gonna create this beautiful meal here in Oma's Kitchen. I'm probably gonna use about half of this white onion to make this nice sauce. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that up, and I'm gonna cut it fairly small because I'm just gonna fry it off in a little olive oil before I add my tomatoes. So let me peel it, take this away. Okay. It's probably half. So that is handled to go in my sauce. Now, I have washed these organic eggplant, and both of them probably need to have the end piece cut off of them. That's okay. So we're going to cut off this end. Come on. There we go. I have to say, that one doesn't look very happy. Okay, that's better. And this end. Oh yeah. There we go. Okay, that looks nice. But there's a whole soft spot over here. Oh yeah. Alright, we should be in business. So, what I want is nice fat slices. I would say 1/4 of an inch thick all the way through. And this is what we're going to use. And these little spots here are fine. Now the way to cook these, once you've breaded them, you have them in a little bit of oil in the bottom of a pan, and I like to use a mixture of olive oil and peanut oil. And then I like to keep the fire at about medium or even medium low, because you want them to be in the pan long enough to cook into the center, so the seeds can get soft and the flesh in the center can get soft while the outside gets crispy. And that's what we'll do, and we'll get going on the rest of it. Put this burner on medium. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. Here's my chopped onion. In it goes. And that's really just a little oil for the onions to get happy in. As they start to fry, I will add my drained, jarred mushrooms. In you go. Okay? Let them sit on top of the onions for a minute or two. Smells good already. I haven't even done much to it yet. little salt. And I'm not measuring. You guys know how much you like garlic or onion powder. You don't need me to tell you how much to put in. Put a little in, taste it when it's done. See if you want more of anything. You can tell what it needs. And then we're gonna let it cook a while once we get it all assembled. This is onion powder. Just put in some garlic powder and salt. I like onion powder. Okay. I'm gonna add a bunch of oregano because oregano is one of my favorite flavors on the planet. You can adjust these based on your own tastes. So there's my oregano. I'm going to add some basil. You could also use fresh herbs. If you use fresh herbs, back off of it a little bit because it will take over. Use fresh herbs, cut them or grind them before you put them in small so you can get the flavor from them. This is bay leaves here. And I don't need much, just 1 or 2 big pieces. I'll get these onions to cook down. You don't want to brown the onions for a marinara style sauce because you don't want that burnt onion flavor in there. It's really just supposed to provide a nice sweet onion flavor mixed in with the mushrooms. Okay, so I'm going to put a bay leaf on top there, and I'm actually going to get, oh, look, I have a little one. That works. So I'm using this port wine. You could use any red wine. A Merlot, that would go well. A Valpolicella, any red wine. I'm not measuring this either. Probably by the time I'm done, a good half a cup of port wine, because it's going to cook in with the tomatoes. Yeah, so that's my beautiful, this is the last 3 small jars of the tomatoes we canned last October. This year in the fall, when I go get my 2 big boxes of tomatoes and create jars of canned tomatoes that I use all winter, we will film some of that and do a whole episode on canning crushed tomatoes. And oh my God, they make a huge difference in the things that I cook all winter long. I add them to soup and stew and chili and spaghetti and lasagna all winter. Port wine has cooked down in there and turned everything purple for the moment. That's okay. I'm turning up the heat a little bit because I'm going to do this. Okay, jar number 1. Jar number 2. And I might need to add some water later or more wine later. We'll see. And this is jar number 3. And I already opened all of these. They were sealed shut in my cabinet. They do take a lot of salt. Eggplant Parmesan for John.
Yeah. It smells really good.
Yeah. So I will probably add some more salt to this. And then I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to cover it, turn it down to low, and I'm going to give it some time to cook together before I taste it and see where we land on the spices. So I have to give it time to open up and, you know, get all friendly. And it's starting to boil. So before it can splatter me, I'm going to cover it, and I'll turn it down to medium-low. And we'll check on it. We'll check on it in a little while and see how it's doing. Okay. I have here just some all-purpose flour that I've shaken up. So, 1.5 cups of flour. This is labeled Himalayan salt, but that's a lie. It's got pepper in it. I just didn't feel like relabeling it. So put a little pepper in there. I know what's in there, and I'm the cook. So, it's pepper. And then just some salt. Okay, to the flour. Little fork. And I will just mix this around together. Breadcrumbs. These are the Progresso Italian style breadcrumbs. They have some nice herbs mixed in with them. If you use original or unflavored breadcrumbs, I would suggest adding some of the Italian spices to this as well, and maybe a little bit of salt and onion powder. Now between these two, I want my egg dish. So I will slide that over. Okay, and this is the order we're going to do this in. So there's 5 eggs in there. And I'm going to walk away for a second. I'm going to use a fork and just blend them together. Don't add too much milk. It makes the eggs too fluffy, but they need a little. So we're going to blend just 2 tablespoons of milk in with these, and I'll be back. And then we pour that into this bowl. So this is our setup. The oil into the pan. I'm not measuring this either. You want a good 1/2 inch by the time you're done. Maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch of oil in the pan. Medium heat is good because you've got olive oil in here. Olive oil has a low smoke point, burns easier. That's why I mix it with peanut oil. You have to add a little oil to the pan, probably 2 to 3 times during the cooking. Start by sticking a fork in one. We dredge it through the flour on both sides, and make sure you cover it on both sides. The reason we do this is the flour gives the egg something to stick to. Otherwise it'll just roll right off of whatever you're trying to bread. So we got a good flour coating. We coat the egg on both sides and throw it in the breadcrumbs, and I usually use a fork to sort of get it covered. Sort of bury it. Yeah. Like you're on a beach trying to bury your buddy. It goes right from there into the oil. And the oil should start sizzling. You see the oil sizzling a little bit? Yeah. It should sizzle right away. Not too much. You don't want it to splatter at you. So I've got it on almost medium-low heat. And that's good. We'll flip that over in a little bit. Okay, so next one. Breaded. Okay, so flour. Egg. Notice how I drown it in the egg, and then into the breadcrumbs it goes. And then bury it like it's your friend at the beach. And then in the pan it goes. Don't crowd your pan. I'm only going to put 3 in here to start with. So obviously this takes a little time. You have to actually take the time to do several batches. And then I usually line them up on a cookie sheet. And I stick them under the broiler for just a couple of minutes on each side right before I make the plates. To warm them back up. Ooh, get in there. Okay. And into the breadcrumbs. Okay, and you try to do this without making a huge mess in your kitchen, but I have to say I make a mess every time I do this. Totally worth it. Okay. So this one goes in, and you'll see I am not letting them touch. I am not crowding my pan. When I get, let me turn this back a little bit. As they start to sizzle, I will turn this back to medium-low, almost on low. Let's see how much. Oh, look at that already. Look at how pretty. Okay, but we want to leave it in there long enough for the center inside to cook. I have a paper towel lined plate. And before it can get too brown on me, on the plate it goes. Look at that. Yum. I don't even care if a little of the breading falls off. It's fun. This one too. Yeah. Okay, so these 3 are ready to go. I'm going to move on to the next batch. Doing 3 or 4 at a time, depending on how much will fit in the pan. We'll come back when we're almost done. So aren't they beautiful? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, boy.
down to my second to the last batch. But I want to talk about the brown on the bottom of the pan. You'll notice because we've kept the oil low to medium-low heat, it's not stuck to the pan and it's not burnt. It's just bits of breading that have come off. As long as you keep your oil fairly low, it doesn't really create an acrid burnt taste. I've also added a little bit of oil during my batches of these. There's half. This is just one box of spaghetti because we have the sauce and we have the eggplant. It's very filling. So this will be about 11 to 12 minutes because I'm at altitude. Might be 9 or 10 where you live. And I'm in the middle of taking the bay leaf out. So the bay leaf, both of them cook down with it. It comes out right before you get ready to serve your sauce. I'm getting ready to stick the cooked eggplant under the broiler, and I'll leave it there for a couple of minutes on each side. I'll flip it over, and then we'll make a plate. Thank you for joining me in Oma's Kitchen. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll upload more tasty videos soon, and a special shout out to Moon Pie and Lil Bit. Till next time.